Hi everyone. So I haven't done a video for about a week now, but had an exam to revise for, so didn't really get a chance. And I've shown you round 3 and 4 from the 4 NCL, but I've not shown you round 1 and 2. So we need to go back to that. So on middle of November, we go down to Daventry, and the match is 3Cs2 versus E2 to E4.org.uk2. And we knew we was in for a tough game because their first team is like titled players in first division, and their second's actually out that much lower, and they had a 200 plus on top board. And I was on board 4, and my opponent was John Sugden, who was 187 ECF at the time and 2180 fide. So this is a lot higher than anyone I've faced before, and I'm sure you people who follow King's Crusher games, we're now starting to see an opponent whose strength like features like King's Crusher's videos. So this guy's a high fide rating than him, in fact. So he's been well over 2200. He's also won the Major Open several times, and he's getting on a bit now, but he's still very strong, nearly 2200 fide, and much higher than anyone I've faced before this game. And anyway, let's go. I'm white, and I'll do my best against this tough opponent. And I played d4, knight f6, c4, d6. So I not actually looked at any games of his, which is surprising because there's like 200 and odd of them. Now I think he must have had a look at my games, because the previous game in the 4 NCL round 11 from last year, I'd brutally hacked someone up with my F3 exclamation mark sideline. So I presume he wanted to avoid that, so he could avoid meeting a similar fate. I mean, alright, he's not going to get hacked by it with that rating, but he knows I'm good with it and knows my stuff in it, so he'll want to try to wipe out me as quickly as possible, I should imagine. Then go to bar or something. And also, he might be an old Indian player. Even though, of course, it says King's Indian on title, so you know it's going to be a King's Indian. So I play knight 3, knight f3. The point being is, if say I played knight c3 normally, I was worried about e5, like an old Indian, and I didn't really know what to do against it. That's why. You know, it's not the best opening. It's like a Philidor type of position. It is quite passive and hard to win for black, and of course the draw would be pretty good. And also the best line, well, one of the best lines is to take the queens off. And this endgame is a slight advantage to white and doesn't give many winning chances for black. So I should have done that, but I don't think he would have gone e5. I think actually, in hindsight, a lot of his games in line of King's Indian, he'd gone on g6, and then we'd have had a Simish. But of course, he was trying to trick me into playing 3 knight f3, probably by this move order, seeing that I was a Simish player, and now I've blocked the f pawn. So once he transposes into his King's Indian, I now can't play the Simish. So I decided to revert back to a line which I wanted to play about a year ago. Or when I first started playing d4, which is the bayonet. So we have the moves, classical, and now he does another annoying thing and goes 6 knight bd7 line, which I know very little about. One of the points I think of it is let's say he goes e5 now. Now we'll be trying to obviously win this game as quick as possible with a smashing kingside attack. So we want me going d takes e5, the exchange variation. That queen's come off, and although there's still dynamic winning chances for black, it'll take a long time. They'll be trying to wipe out someone as quick as possible. By the way, he's rapid, he's like 209. So no chance of getting anything if it comes down to a time scramble. My original plan was he'll go e5. I wasn't going to take it, I was going to castle. Knight c6, d5, and then we have the bayonet. Right, I'm got this accelerated queenside attack. I'm trying to get b5 in as quick as possible, and he's going to go knight e8. Oh no, knight h5 actually. f5, f4, g5, hack. But of course I'd have good chances because the bayonet's strong, and Naka's fallen victim to it several times. To games against like people like Kramnik. And although I've been move ordered out of my line, at least I've been following in the footsteps of Kramnik and of many other greats. And the bayonet's very popular when he's causing a massive decline in the King's Indian. And only like proper hackers play it, like Naka and Rajabov. So I'd be quite comfortable in this. Alright, I don't really know it that well, but it gave me chances against 2180. Like winning chances. But I probably would get hacked. So anyway, he plays knight Nbd7, which blocks the d file, so queens aren't going to be coming off anytime soon. I castle. Now he has e5. And actually, you can still take everything off. And then bishop b3, c6 gives a slight advantage to white. The knight Nbd7 line isn't the main line. It's quite good. I think it might have been Bronstein who played it a lot, but I'm not entirely sure. It should lead to a slight advantage to white, though. But it's not as much theory as the main lines. But to be honest, I don't want a theoretical battle because a 1280 is going to know all the theory, whereas I don't know any. That's no reason why I thought he may have chose the King's Indian, because he's playing God knows how long and has been playing at a high level for a long time. So, and he's got draws against GMs in databases. So I thought I was going to know like 20 moves of theory in every line. So I play something sharp and I'm likely to mess up. I played d5, possibly not best, but I'm in unfamiliar territory. Knight c5, every pawn move creates a weakness. Now c5 is weak. And after queen c2, defending e4, which was attacked twice, he plays the only good move, and of course, someone who's been playing the King's Indian for many years is instinctively going to play a5 in this position without thinking and showing if he did. Of course, the idea of this move is to stop me playing b4 to kick his knight away, which would gain space and drastically accelerate my queenside attack. And now, of course, I'm not going to be playing b4 anytime soon. And if I play a3, then to try and get in, it'll play a4 and put a knight in on b3, so that'd be bad. So I play bishop e3, which provokes me to a very committal decision, which I hadn't really analysed, but it's fine. An alternative was h3 to stop knight g4. But after bishop e3, knight g4, I'm practically committed to playing bishop takes c5, otherwise my last move was ridiculous. So I play it, and after d takes c5, you see black now has the bishop pair, and his dark square bishop cannot be counteracted, and also if that bishop is unleashed in King's Indian, it is deadly. I mean, for now it's safely locked in a cage behind a wall of pawns, but if that is unleashed, it's going to kill me because I can't counteract it. On the other hand, I've inflicted weak doubled pawns on black, and my d5 pawn will become passed if he plays c6 any point, and I've got more space. So it's slightly better for white. So slightly better position against the 2180. Not that I knew that, of course, but can't believe it. I play h3 just to kick his knight away. He goes knight f6. And now I didn't want to take the pawn because I know there's some nasty tactics against that knight. There'll be when like knight takes d5 or better for black. Maybe I should have played knight e1, a typical King's Indian move. Maybe rook fd1. I played knight d2, which probably isn't best. I didn't really have much of an idea behind it, to be honest. Maybe just to clear the path for the f pawn, but I've already played h3, so I'll be weakening g3 permanently. He of course gets some of his typical King's Indian counterplay. He plays knight e8, multifunctional move. First of all, it clears the room for an f5 break, which is black's main asset in the King's Indian, preparing the kingside attack because it secures the kingside space advantage. And also to blockade my f5 advanced d5 pawn with knight d6, because the knight's the best blockader of pawns. And now I was completely clueless and fought for 41 minutes on this next move, and played knight d1, which actually isn't that bad. I'm not sure what I was thinking of though. I think there were some ideas of f3, knight f2, knight g4, and some of knight e3, and some of just I didn't know what to do. An alternative was a4, just to steal the queen side up, and then after knight d6, plant the knight in on b5, with a slightly better position for white, or very equal actually. But I wouldn't like this position, to be honest. I'm not sure what my counterplay is coming from. I play knight d1, and now he gets on with his plan and plays knight d6. I play knight e3, and now he breaks with f5. And now I face a critical decision now. Now the move that you usually play in the King's Indian is f3, but f3 and h3 do not go well together because g3 is permanently weakened, and I pay pretty quickly, the price for that pretty quickly with bishop h6, hitting in now unprotected knight. I move it, and now queen h4. And now he's like going to come into g3, play f4, sack on h3, bring his knight to f7 to g5, bishop's coming in. It's just nasty and practically over already. An alternative is to play f4, but that's risky usually, opening up the King's Indian bishop, and of course when I've not got a dark square bishop myself, that's practically suicidal, and of course it takes, and bishop d4 is practically winning already. The best decision would have been to play bishop d3, f4, knight g4, and now black should never take because that light square bishop is really important. To me, over Saxon h3 sometimes is the only way to get through. After queen g5, knight f3, queen e7, I've maintained equality and I've survived the worst. Can defend this and have some chances of getting a result against 2180. So of course, this isn't too bad, this position. I'm not entirely comfortable with it, but black's not going to hack me up here, that's for sure. And bishop takes g4, although it inflicts weak double pawns on white, it'd actually be a blunder giving up that light square bishop, and also we'd have bishops opposite colour, which is drawish. I play e takes f5, a terrible decision. I don't even know what I was thinking of. You can just safely take back with a pawn, and then he's going to steamroll me with the e and f pawns. I mean, look at them pawns, how strong they are. I'm just going to get massacred by them. I even knew I was as well. I play rook fe1. And now another weakness is that he can push to e4 at any point and unleashing his bishop, which can't be opposed, like the potential match winner. Because the most important, when you've got two bishops against the bishop and knight, your most important bishop is the one that can't be opposed by the other guy's bishop, so his dark square bishop is going to be a killer. He could have played e4 straight away, but he decides to develop his bishop first, which isn't necessary. I play rook a b1, just planning ideas of a3, b4, just trying to get something going, like some kind of counterplay, distraction. But even if I win out this queenside, I'm not going to get hacked first. Knight d back to d1 isn't the best move given, it's just an embarrassing knight retreat back to the square it went to a few moves ago with 41 minutes of thought. He plays e4, knight b3, pointless moves. And black's just going to hack me to shreds in this position. I mean, what I'm going to do here, it's only given us about 0.5 to black, but black's position is so easy to play, it's just a ready-made attack. I play rook a b1, e4, of course, unleashing his bishop. I go, awful move, knight ef1. Some of these moves are making me feel physically sick looking at them. Now queen h4, the queen comes into the attack with decisive effect. And now he's going to, now I've not got a dark square bishop, but now my dark square bishop's advance is going to, he's going to departure from the board, he's going to make itself felt now. And of course, I have a look at this miserable position which is lost. Now, first of all, if I play a move like a3, preparing my distant counterplay plans, he will go bishop d4. And now I've not got a dark square bishop to protect the pawn with. And I mean, look, what can I protect it with? g3 drops h3. Knight e3 looks like the only move, but he goes f4. Knight g4 keeps hold of f2. And that, but of course he can just take it off, and even in fact the best move is just f3, and the whole kingside completely falls apart. And he'll also play bishop takes g4 and queen takes f2. It's just an absolute massacre. Houdini gives an advantage of over 5 pawns. If I play knight e3 straight away, he goes f4, just kicks it away, and then plays bishop d4 and f3 like in last line, and it's lost. So looking at my miserable position, I find a cunning plan to try and get out of it. My plan is that I knew he was going to play bishop d4 and pile on it. Well, I didn't know actually, I'd not actually seen any of it, because I was already in a bit of time pressure at move 9, or move 20. I thought I'll play queen b3. The point being is that I'll shuffle my queen over to the king side if he lets me. And I thought that if he doesn't play f4, then I'm going to be fine when I play queen g3. I'll escape to a playable endgame where maybe I've got chances of survival. Alright, it'll still be better, but I'm not going to lose straight away. I can put up a good fight. And although he's 2180, and there's been over 2200, so he's effectively candidate master strength. He's not a GM. He can still make blunders even. Like when we had a look at their games, they're like 2100s were still making some elementary mistakes in the games. Like some players even saw blundering pieces. So he's not invincible. And I thought I'll skip to playable ending with queen g3. Or if he doesn't trade queens off, I can maybe start my own attack in my dreams. Anyway, he plays bishop d4, and now this is an example of him of a strong player seeing one move further ahead than me. Because I think, well, I mean, I've got no way to defend f2 anyway, but I go queen g3 check. Yes, off come the queens. I've skipped to a playable endgame. Get in. This is amazing. Then I'm gonna beat you. Beat the 2180. Takes, and then it, of course, immediately goes e3, and I have to resign. I didn't completely overlook that. Of course, the reason I resigned is because he's attacking my knight in the f2 pawn. I've got no way to protect the knight and f2. If I take his pawn, then bishop takes e3 wins my d2 knight, so I'm a piece down for nothing. And if I let him take an f2, he wins my rook as well. So I'm losing a piece in the game and the plot. So I resign. And I was disappointed after that because although, of course, I was expected to lose badly, I could at least put up a better fight than that. 22 moves as white is bad. A miniature, even if the 2500 losing as white bad that quickly is bad. And it's an example of me not knowing an opening and getting smashed as a result. And of course, John's a very strong player, but went over with me afterwards anyway, which helped. And seemed a nice guy. And I can see why he's won the major open, because he disposes of players like passes like me pretty easily, and has drawn against GMs. So that was a pretty terrible game, and just to rub it in, at move 22 when I resigned, with 18 moves still left to make it time control to get another hour, I had 7 minutes left, and he still had about 40 minutes, so he had played quite slow. And what he was doing as well, when I fought for 41 minutes, he actually spent all the time stood up, didn't sit at the board once. He must have known I was a patser. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this game. The return to videos, I'll do round 2 soon. Got a rapid tournament at Stockport on Sunday, going in the major because my rapid's 153. But anyway, for now, I hope you enjoyed this absolutely terrible game, probably the worst game I've ever played. Although I've said that many times. And basically, I got hacked. Please leave any comments and thoughts. Thanks very much.